Without challenges, we would all become complacent. We would lack compassion. It's just, like, it spices life up. It reveals the power we have within us.
Hi, I'm the host of the Business Talk Library, and today I have another special guest on. It is Barbara Vercruysse, and I'm excited about this guest because something that a lot of entrepreneurs and business leaders are really facing right now are having to overcome obstacles and challenges, because we're all facing them, and you're having to pivot that. And not only that, is you're also having to help the other people in your business overcome and find the strength to do the same. So I'm excited to hear what Barbara has to say. Welcome to the show, Barbara.
Yes, thank you, Terrell. It's an honor to be here.
Absolutely. So Barbara, now, when I came across your profile, it stood out to me because of the personal growth coaching there. And I think that is amazing. But tell us a little bit about what was your life kind of before you became a coach?
Well, that's quite a story. Because for 18 years, I ran a construction business. I started a construction business when I was 28. I had been working a few jobs before that, but I felt like I had the entrepreneurial, you could say, vibe in me, and I was not fit to be an employee. So I started a construction business because my parents ran a construction business and I grew up in it. So it was something that I knew inside out. I started a business on my own, like 100 miles away from my parents, to be really independent. And my husband, who is a lawyer, he agreed to do the sales in the evening hours and the weekends for me. Excuse me. So I ran the business. We had several workers in the working place who did the actual work. So I was doing production planning, accountancy, showroom, etc. But at the age of 32, we had been married for 5 years, my husband and we had 3 kids in the meantime. I was diagnosed with a stage 4 skin cancer.
Wow.
So I was only 32, very young, and that came as a shock. As you can imagine, running a business and being told, I was told I had 6 more months to live. You could say, the first moment, there was mere disbelief. I couldn't believe it because I was not feeling ill. I had a black spot on my knee who had started bleeding, and they had just taken it away, sent it to the laboratory, and apparently it didn't look good at all. But it was even a greater shock for my husband, my parents, and my parents-in-law, because my husband saw himself ending as a widower at 32 with 3 little kids and a business who was not really his business because I was running it. And after a week of tests, I had to stay in hospital to have several surgeries. And at the first night in hospital, I was all alone. And it was the first time that I didn't have any, I had 2 toddlers. We had 2 toddlers and a baby. And I had no children around me. And I missed them very hard. So I was devastated for a moment. And I was thinking, okay, those kids, where they are right now, they were with my parents-in-law. They are surrounded with love and warmth. And they do not realize what's going on. They were too small, 3 years and a half, 2 years and a half, and a baby. So they are very well where they are now. They experience it as a kind of a vacation. So I put that out of my mind. I was not going to drive myself mad with that idea that I was missing my babies. They are very well where they are now. And then I was thinking, okay, what is the best thing that I can do now in this hospital? I faced 2 surgeries and I knew I would have a year of chemotherapy. What is the best thing that I can do now? And there was one thing that I had control over, and it was my thoughts. So I decided in that moment to not allow one negative thought, because I knew it would weaken me. It would have an effect on my health. I put my fate, my confidence for my health in the hands of the doctors. I trusted the doctors that they were going to do what they could. But I was responsible for my mind and what I was thinking. So the next morning I called my husband and I told him to bring me books about cancer survivors. And I wanted to read positive stories about people who even faced stage 4 cancer and survived. And people in the first days, people who came into the room, they all went in and, like crying, saying goodbyes. And I stopped them. In a very gentle way, I say, I do not want to see one tear in this hospital room. That isn't helping me. If you start crying and saying goodbyes, I'm not dead yet. So that was a very tough one for my parents-in-law. They were in their early 50s and they had their daughter-in-law who was, like diagnosed. But everybody respected that. And even after a surgery, I would not repeat to people the pain that I had been gone through. Because in repeating, in dwelling in a certain, you create your own suffering. So I did not repeat because first of all, it demanded too much energy of me. I had no energy left. I was exhausted. And I knew the effect it had on me. And I think in life, there's a big difference between pain and suffering. Pain, we all experience pain in life. We all experience difficulties and we all experience challenges. The suffering, however, is chosen. If we dwell in a certain situation which is a setback, if we dwell in news that we weren't expecting, we create our own suffering. And I don't know where it came from. I always have been a positive person, a very, you could say, having a certain sunshine in my heart, but it helped me. It helped me enormously. I went through it. I survived eventually. You see, 18 years later, I'm still here talking to you. But I think in every setback we have that choice. What our response? What is our response to what we are going through? Mm-hmm. So the cancer, however, was a wake-up call because I was thinking, okay, you have all that time in hospital, like you're staring at your ceiling, thinking, you think a lot. And I was thinking, what if I die in these months? Would I be happy with my legacy? Would I be happy with what I'm leaving behind? And the answer was no. I wasn't. It was kind of a wake-up call. Why? Because until then, I had followed the path, you could say, I have lived up to the expectations of others. I had been to college, married. I was very happy in my marriage. Doing the construction business was built on unconscious choices, not really. So I was thinking, how do I want to be remembered if I die? What do I want to leave behind? And I had always had that calling to coach. You could say I was a natural coach. I was the kind of person people already would seek for advice, like without being a coach. And, like the seed was planted. So after a year of treatments, I went then to the construction business again because we had lots of investments. You know how it goes. It's not like you can close the door from one day to another. Mm-hmm. So I continued the construction business, but I started to follow coaching certification courses. I went to conferences. I read all possible books on coaching, self-development, mindset, psychology, spirituality. And In 2016, that was 13 years after being diagnosed with the stage 4 cancer,
Wow.
I was still running the construction business. And there was a part of me who had a lot of fear to let go of the construction business because it was kind of my baby too. And I wanted to close like in a beautiful way. I knew in 2018, all our investments were paid back. But as you know, sometimes, like life decides for us. So in 2016, I was betrayed by 2 employees.
Oh, wow.
And had suffered some huge financial losses. And all of a sudden, I was with no more people in the working place. I had to hire extra contractors. And in the period of 6 months, I built a debt of $200,000.
Oh, wow.
So eventually I had to close down. So, we had a business building, which we sold to cover some of the debts. But one day, it was a horrible period. We had lawyers coming after us. You know how it goes. Creditors, and we got a call from the bank one day when it was just happened, and they wanted to sell our private house, the house we're living in right now, so which was our dream house. We're still living in our dream house, and that was quite a shock. So that night I was in bed and I was like, I couldn't catch sleep. That was like too that news was so shocking. I was staring at the ceiling and I started, like you could say, talking to the universe, to God, to whatever you want to call it. And I was saying, like, seriously, I survived the stage 4 cancer to end up here, to maybe end up homeless.
Wow.
And then I had like another, you could call it an epiphany. And I saw that there was something within me which realized, Barbara, whether you have that big house you're living in, driving, like the beautiful BMWs, or whether you are homeless, you are a worthy and good person. So I could see how until then I had attached my identity and worthiness to material possessions without knowing. Just being, we are all brainwashed like that. We are all brainwashed. You need the title, you need the house, you need a car, like you need the perfect marriage to be someone. And then I realized, no, I am someone. Even if I would end up homeless, even if the whole world would look at me as a failure, I am someone. So next day, we called the lawyer. We had a settlement with the Court of Commerce, a payment plan. We didn't have to sell our house and close down the business. And within a week, I got an opportunity to work with BMW. It was in the beginning more as a contractor, more like doing administration. You could say work far below my level. But I put my pride aside and I said, yes, I needed the money. I said yes. But there is one thing in life. If you have something to offer, if the work you are doing is of a certain quality, if you have value, it always comes true. So within 6 months for BMW, I started doing all their quality management, and I was part of the management team within 6 months as an outsider, as a contractor.
Wow.
But I worked my ass off. I worked day and night. Even with 3, we had teenagers. And for them too, it was a huge lesson because they were between 12 and 15 years old in 2016. And until then, they only had no wealth and no money problems. And all of a sudden, there was no more money. We had to go to the groceries and I had to check my accounts to see how much I could spend.
Oh, wow.
We had that like for 18 months. But that's a lesson too. For them too, they know that's life. You have good years, you have bad years. Some things, like those things happen in life. Mm-hmm. And instead of dwelling and saying, look at me, I had the cancer and now I have this, No, that doesn't help you. So I took all my courage, worked, like hours, set up my personal coaching business in the evening hours, like created a Facebook page, Instagram, LinkedIn, worked until 1, 2 a.m., get up in the morning working for BMW, like working 16 hours a day, having 3 kids, but I didn't care. I was so dedicated to get out of the situation I was in.
Mhm.
And I can tell you now, we still have 1 year, the business has been thriving. So my income has gone like this, and the debts, I'm on, it's not that I'm like completely debt free, but I'm like that,
Okay.
and, but the most important thing is I have that inherent sense of worthiness and of value. So if tomorrow something happens and I lose everything materially, it's not that I am going to like it, but I know I can build everything up again. I know.
Wow. Wow. That is a very impressive story. And something that you mentioned, like, and I go back to when you were in the hospital, how did you manage with, with having a business where there were different concerns there? Like, how did you,
Yes.
I guess you say, create that
Well,
space in your mind to stay focused on, hey, I am going to get better?
yes. And it helped me too, because my husband would come with the laptop to the hospital because he couldn't do accountancy. And then when I was in chemotherapy, there were very many weeks that I was too ill. But fortunately, since my parents run the same kind of business, my mom helped with accountancy. My dad helped with doing production planning and doing all the orders. But as much as I could, I stayed involved in the business because it helped me to focus on something else. I did need, because and I think many business owners have that, I'm an overachiever. So sometimes my parents or my husband had to say, like, now you are going to take rest. And there was many times that I was there have been 1 or 2 months in the beginning of the chemotherapy, I would sleep like 20 hours a day.
Oh, wow.
But whatever I could do, I would do. Even like with my kids, we had a help in the house then because I was physically not fit. But I would ask her, like, just bring me the clothes of the kids. I'm going to set on the bedside and clothe them anyway. Even if I could not stand up, just being able to do that I'm not like the sick mom all of the time in bed. I would clothe them and have that kind of, you could say, the little dignity or the little things that I could do, I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Gotcha.
I think it helps. Having a business helped me. I was very fortunate, of course, that my parents could help me so much.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, when you think about all of this going on with COVID-19, and there's so many
Mm-hmm.
people that are feeling the pressure and the pain of whether they've
Yes.
lost a business or they've lost significant parts of their business, what are
Mm-hmm.
the types of things that you say to them as they're trying to navigate this?
Always, always, always focus on possibilities, opportunities, your creativity. There's always some gold there. There's gold in the darkness, always, always. And stay positive, because all alternatives are worse.
Wow, I think that's good.
And it's not about being a blindly positive. It's just about, when you do business with someone, do you prefer to do business with somebody who is radiating confidence, optimism, who believes in what he does, or somebody who is shoulders down and says, oh my God, it's horrible, the economy is horrible? You don't want to do business with somebody who is like negative and pessimistic. No, just I think the more confident you are, and I have worked with many people, and when I compare the successful with the really successful, the biggest difference they have, that they never lose faith in their own abilities, even in the darkest hours. They don't. They have that vision. And even if circumstances are not aligned with that vision at that moment, they keep believing and they keep going. Of course, they tweak here and there. You don't have to be blind, but it's about not giving in to doom, to gloom, to doubt. So what do? I watch the news as few as possible, like as just looking at the numbers, like 2 minutes, and then I close down. Because watching the news for hours will not help my business, will not help me. It doesn't help you. Scrolling my social media like endlessly won't help me. So what have I been? In the month of April, like my revenue went down enormously because my biggest client is still BMW. And it was closed. So what did I do with that time? I was 6 weeks at home. First of all, I enjoyed some extra family time. That's as important as all the rest in your life. So I was grateful for that. We have three, one is 21, one is 19, 2 daughters and a son of 17. And we just enjoyed some extra time together. But then I dedicated myself to study more, to read. I created a new mentorship program. I did some free master classes, like all to stay active, to stay in that atmosphere of creativity. I strongly believe that the future of business is not in competition, but in creation. And the more creative we are, the more, you could say, fulfilled and whole we are as a human being. Humans are born to create, not to consume. I know that advertising wants to make us believe we need to consume all of the time to be happy. Not true. We are born to create. And if you can find within you the seed, whether you are born to cook, whether you are born to teach, whether you are born, like with that feel for technology, we are born to create. And this is also an era of possibilities because all the big companies struggle. So why not, like as a small entrepreneur, we can grow because everything is so shaken up. The new normal, everything is changing, that there are lots of possibilities out there.
And speaking of the possibilities and just the creativity, can you tell us a little bit about the types of coaching, the types of services and master classes that you provide your customers?
Yes, sure. I have the personal coaching, which is the one-on-one coaching, is a kind of mentorship. My clients are entrepreneurs, corporate leaders, business owners who are when people come to me, they are facing like a setback or a crisis. That's always the thing that you could say incites people to look for coaching. It's never when everything is going well that they need support. So most of the time, it's just a crisis, whether they're plateauing in their career, whether they had some setback, even in relationships, and it's really affecting their entire life. So I'm guiding those people because I have been, you could say, not only do I have my certifications, but I can tell you that going through so many experiences is what is my most valuable asset to guide people. I've gone through it and I've overcome it. And I know, like I understand. And I can easily, you could say, detect within clients in their beliefs or in their mindset what is holding them back, what is blocking them. Even after a few sentences, what they're saying, if they keep repeating what their problem is, I would, like just point that out. Like the more you repeat it, the bigger the problem becomes, because our mind tends to magnify every problem, every obstacle.
Wow.
Even if our problems are like 10% and we have 90% good things going on in life, what is our mind doing? Magnify the 10% that sometimes we have the feeling it's the 90%.
Wow.
So that's the personal guidance. I also have a mentorship program where it's more like a group coaching. It's for people, like the personal coaching is a different, you could say, price setting than group coaching. So people who are more up to group coaching, that's one call in a week, and that's with an online program. I have founded my school, Barbara School of Wisdom. So they follow the online program and they have a week of group coaching, where at the end they have a Q&A too. And then I have my online courses for people who want to do it on their own. There's online courses too. So that's in a very nutshell what I'm doing.
Awesome. Now, where can people find all that online, or where can they find you on social media?
I think the easiest thing is to go to my LinkedIn profile and see there. Everything's in there, and to contact me. You can find me there very easily. I'm very easy accessible through LinkedIn. So yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Barbara, before we wrap up, one question that I like to ask every guest that comes on is, when you think about, your journey through your entrepreneurship and even your business now, and even the challenges and the obstacles, what is one piece of advice that you would share with entrepreneurs to say, this is a piece of wisdom you should embrace and know to be successful?
It's about who you are becoming in the process. The wiser, the stronger, the more confident, the more resilient. And I think the entrepreneurial journey is ideal for that. It's just about who you are becoming, because outside circumstances are what they are. But it's about you. What you could say, we are like a rough diamond, and every challenge polishes us, makes us more shining. Without challenges, we would all become complacent. We would lack compassion. It's just, it spices life up. It reveals the power we have within us. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, Barbara, thank you so much for taking time to be on the call. And actually, as we were talking before, this is your last one before you go on your holiday. So thank you.
It's my pleasure. It's my pleasure, Terrell.
Well, we will definitely include the link so people can find you on LinkedIn and follow your content and all the great advice and all the great products that you have. Thanks for tuning in to the Business Talk Library. If you like what you heard and you want to hear more, be sure to click the subscribe button and follow us on all social media platforms as the Business Talk Library.